All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're literally mapping out your focus, connecting the neurobiology of your brain directly to your daily habits. You know the feeling, right? You sit down to do something important, but suddenly you're stuck in this endless loop of scrolling and poof, 2 hours are just gone. Well, you are definitely not alone. Our attention is absolutely under attack right now. So we're going to build a conceptual mind map today to figure out exactly why this happens, how to dial down your daily stimulation, and most importantly, how to finally break free from those loops and get your focus back. We're drawing the core insights for our map directly from Thibaut Maurice's super practical book, Dopamine Detox. And look, this isn't about, complex neurosurgery or totally impossible life overhauls. It's actually a really short, highly actionable guide to eliminating distractions. It gives us a crystal clear roadmap to train our brains to do those hard, unglamorous things that actually move the needle in our personal and professional lives. Think of our agenda today as the legend for this mind map we're building. We'll start with the dopamine misconception, look at how we're hijacked by modern life, and explore the overstimulation trap. From there, we'll draw up your detox game plan, lay the groundwork for building laser focus, and wrap up with preventing dopamine relapse. Okay, first up, Section 1, the dopamine misconception, which really gets to the root of the problem. So let's start at the very base of our map by shattering a huge illusion you probably have about how your brain works. People casually call dopamine the pleasure chemical, right? Well, it's absolutely not. From an evolutionary standpoint, dopamine is the neurotransmitter that makes us anticipate rewards. Think about our hunter-gatherer ancestors for a second. They needed a massive biological drive to trek for miles just to find some sweet berries. Dopamine is that force. It's the intense craving that drives you to take action, not the actual feeling of enjoyment you get once you finally cross the finish line. See, we are constantly sold this myth that a quick dopamine hit will bring us lasting fulfillment and real satisfaction. But the harsh reality? Dopamine is just the molecule of more, because its entire job is to drive anticipation. The second you actually get the reward, your dopamine levels just drop. And that is exactly why you're so often left feeling completely empty after binge-watching a show or scrolling your feed for 2 hours. It's this endless loop where we just keep wanting more, chasing a horizon of satisfaction that we quite literally never reach.
Moving on to Section 2, hijacked by modern life, where we'll trace the branches of infection. We really need to connect this biological vulnerability straight to the modern environment we live in. You have to ask yourself right now, are you trapped in an open system? Is your daily routine turned into a series of highly predictable traps designed specifically to keep you clicking and swiping? Marketers and tech developers know that your focus is an incredibly valuable asset, and they literally spend billions of dollars engineering ways to weaponize your own dopamine drive against you.
You can clearly trace these branches of infection across so many industries. We're talking about unpredictable email and social media notifications, which, by the way, act exactly like a slot machine right in your pocket. There are heavily customized YouTube algorithms queuing up video after video, and endless social media feeds with absolutely no bottom. And hey, it's not just tech. The food industry processes snacks with totally unnatural combos of sugar and fat just to trigger that exact same anticipatory system. Because these rewards are so unpredictable and highly stimulating, your ancient survival mechanisms just go into overdrive, keeping you totally hooked. And look, the severity of this is no secret to the people actually building these systems. Chamath Palihapitiya, a former senior executive at Facebook, admitted point-blank that, quote, such apps wire your brain for super fast feedback. Even the ultimate tech insiders know these platforms actively destroy our ability to think long-term. Actually, the source points out that Steve Jobs notoriously prohibited his own kids from using iPads. No way, right? These environments completely condition us to expect instant results, absolutely killing our patience for deep work. Which brings us to Section 3, the overstimulation trap, and why returning to work feels so incredibly hard. Once you're physically and mentally overstimulated by all these engineered apps and junk foods, your own mind starts playing tricks on you just to keep you in that comfortable trance. It starts off by whispering that returning to work will be easy, convincing you that scrolling for just 5 more minutes is totally harmless. Then it shifts to telling you, oh, I'll just do it later when I feel more motivated. After that, it actually confuses the simple physiological excitement of a notification ping with real, meaningful life fulfillment. And finally, you fall straight into the fear of missing out, the classic FOMO, truly believing that if you put your phone down, you're going to miss out on some once-in-a-lifetime piece of news. So why do we procrastinate? Well, it basically boils down to a massive gap in stimulation.
On one end, you've got the high stimulation wavelength. Scrolling feeds, watching videos, checking stats, that blasts your brain with dopamine. On the other end is the low stimulation wavelength required for things like writing a report, starting a business, or just sitting quietly to read a book. The gap between that chaotic internet stimulation and the calm, steady state you need for deep work is just way too big to cross without a reset. To your brain, a blank Word document looks agonizingly boring compared to a flashing news feed.
All right, let's get into Section 4, your detox game plan. This is where we start the pruning process.
To bridge that giant stimulation gap and bring your brain back to baseline, the map gives us 3 distinct paths you can take. First is the radical 48-hour complete detox. This is for when you are severely burnt out. You eliminate all external stimuli. No internet, no phone, no processed sugar, no movies. Second is the 24-hour detox, which is a slightly less intense reset, perfect for a quiet weekend. And third is the partial detox. This one's really effective for sustainable everyday change. You just target and eliminate your single biggest daily distraction, like Instagram or gaming, while leaving the rest of your life completely intact.
To successfully pull off any of these detoxes, you first need to identify your biggest culprits. Simply make a physical list of your cans and can'ts for the duration of the detox. Next, you have to actively add heavy physical friction to those bad habits to make them really difficult to execute. And finally, you lock this all in by starting every single morning with a low stimulation routine. Think meditating, stretching, or journaling long before you ever let yourself look at a screen.
The underlying psychology here is brilliantly simple. The harder something is to access, the less likely you are to do it. Humans are, evolutionarily speaking, fundamentally lazy. It's how we conserve precious energy. If your phone is sitting right next to your keyboard, you're going to pick it up without thinking. But if you literally unplug your internet modem, put it in a box, and shove it in a storage closet 4 flights of stairs away, yeah, that immense physical friction is going to completely stop you from idly going online. You have to use your own inherent laziness to your advantage.
Moving to Section 5, Building Laser Focus, where we'll be planting your brand new ecosystem.
The most vital behavioral shift in this whole new ecosystem is completely abandoning what we call open systems when you sit down for deep work. Open systems, like your email inbox, Facebook, or YouTube, have an endless supply of stimuli and absolutely no finish line. If you start your morning there, your focus is pretty much doomed for the rest of the day. Instead, you need to heavily favor closed systems. A closed system is a single blank Word document, or one specific Excel sheet. They are finite tasks with zero room for distraction. They act like guardrails, gently forcing your wandering mind back to one single objective.
But transforming those closed systems into a genuine state of flow takes ruthless consistency. First, you train your brain to associate focus with a specific environment by working at the exact same place and time every single day. You anchor this by choosing a relaxing physical trigger, like the ritual of making a cup of tea, which tells your nervous system, okay, it's time to work. From there, eliminate all digital distractions from the room, set a timer, and commit to 45 completely uninterrupted minutes of single tasking. No checking phones, no tab switching, just deep, focused work.
And finally, Section 6, Preventing Dopamine Relapse, which is all about drawing defensive borders to protect the map we've built.
Look, you are fundamentally human, and temptation in the modern world is literally everywhere. So reclaiming your attention is an ongoing battle, and you really have to prepare for failure. First, if you relapse, accept it without guilt or shame. Beating yourself up just creates negative emotions that drive you straight back to your digital pacifiers for comfort. Second, draft a contingency plan for your worst-case distraction scenarios. But most importantly, actively cultivate what we call here-and-now neurotransmitters, specifically endorphins, oxytocin, and serotonin. These are the biological opposites of anticipatory dopamine. While dopamine makes you crave the future, these chemicals make you feel deeply satisfied and connected in the present moment. You can boost them by engaging in calming, physical activities like meditation, deep stretching, or taking a contemplative walk without your phone. It just grounds you right back in reality. Since your attention is quite literally worth billions of dollars to modern tech companies, the ultimate question I want to leave you with is this. Will you actively protect your focus today, or will you let someone else cash in on it? The algorithms are working tirelessly against you, trying to fragment your focus and ultimately empty your wallet. But by understanding your mind's biology, actively lowering your daily stimulation, and building unshakable closed systems, you can completely take your power back. I really hope this explainer gave you the deep insights and practical tools you need to finally reclaim your focus.
Catch you next time.